There we go. We're live. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Miss Monifa, thank you for joining me online.
You're so welcome. I feel like I have to perform.
It's been a minute. I used to go live all the time, and folks
Yeah.
might remember me popping on live. If you go back through the media files, it's been a minute. But we're back, and I am inspired to hop online live today because the fabulous, the marvelous Miss Monifa Harris has wrapped up another extraordinary online event, the second annual 3 8 things to come. Second annual Gracious Diva Summit. Ms. Monifa, how are you holding up after your amazing online event?
Considering all involved, I am doing absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And I think I know the secret to that. Among other things, you are a vocal confidence coach. You are a vocal coach. You have singsters in your studio. You help them make marvelous music, whatever their music may be. You also play in the space of energy. You are a wizard, very intuitive at understanding and harnessing energy cycles of nature, of our own bodies, our biorhythms. And this is some powerful, powerful stuff, some magic, if I will, that we all have access to. And Monifa is marvelous at that. So, with all of that, you had 5 days of speakers. Did you add a sixth?
Well, 4 days of speakers and 2 webinars. So, yeah. It went swimmingly. So, because
It went
the speakers were live,
swimmingly.
so it could have gone other directions. It could have happened.
Yeah, no pressure, folks. We're just going to do this live. God knows what's going to happen. And she did it. And she stayed balanced because Monifa honors her cycles and doesn't push herself, says, I need the space for myself to be centered, to be grounded, to show up the way that I want and to shine. And that's what we're going to talk about.
How we're going to shine in our voices, how we're going to amplify our visions, and how doing the proceeding, how taking care of yourself allows you to do that, right? And how do you prepare? Like, how do you prepare yourself for that thing? Because, I don't know. I feel like I want to go backwards a little bit on that one because a lot of us don't even feel like we are supposed to be leading or speaking, you know? If you don't feel like a leader, that's not your fault. Just we just have really bad examples, guys. And so if you don't want to be a leader, even because of those examples, that totally makes sense. And what I invite people to do is connect to themselves so that they can be their own version. We could even make up a new word. I was talking to a client about that this morning. If leader doesn't satisfy you, pick a new word, pick one that works for you and your energy and how you like to show up and serve and support others.
Thank you for that. I think, yes, we get to a point where we recognize, we're pushing ourselves pretty hard. The world is making a lot of demands on us. We feel like we can't do one more thing. We're not up for one more thing. And this whole leadership idea doesn't seem to be going great for other people. So why do we want to get into that mess?
It's gone
How do we
horribly
do all
wrong.
of the things and honor ourselves, take care of ourselves, stay nourished and centered so we can do what we are called to do?
Well, and that's kind of the first key. If you're worried about becoming one of those, then we have to go back to like how those are created. Why, people that are showing up under the level of stress that leadership has historically created, right?
Mm-hmm.
How they get so hardened, how they get so cut off, how they, if that's the path you think you need to take to become a leader, then yeah, you could end up on that. I'm not going to say it's not possible, but that's the point. If you know that, then you know that you need some better tools and keys so that you can stay in the open heartedness and your feelings and love and be able to connect to others through that and still show up in the fullness of what's possible for people in your leadership. You know?
Yes, yeah, staying authentic and showing up in the world. And your speakers were phenomenal about that. So I just dropped, there's a comment on whichever platform it lets me show a comment, and I'll show the banner again for just a little bit longer. If you missed out on Monifa's Gracious Diva Summit last week, you can catch it in her Facebook group, which is free to join. And there's always phenomenal information going on. Great exercises. You go live every week and you share your Gene Keys videos. So if folks are not familiar, or if they already are and want to learn more about the Gene Keys, you can do that inside the Get Vocal group. So there's the link for, you said 12 more hours through the end of today. You can catch the videos. Monifa's live interviews recorded last week from her Art of the Gracious Diva Summit, and start to get a little bit inspired, because whatever you feel called to say, we've got some work to do.
Because we need it. And what I love to do, and what this year seems to be about, is like calling that out, calling out the different versions of shine, is another way of saying it, of divahood, of genius, is what I like to talk about when I'm talking about the Gene Keys. How does it look when it's done differently? And can we kind of integrate the past I don't know, negativity we have around the word diva? Because it's over, guys. Like the whole idea that divas are bitches. I'm just gonna say it.
It's over. We get to rewrite that.
Yeah. So no, it's because when we have to recognize is what it takes to carry a vision in its whole form. Right. And I like to talk about during the event as kind of like your little baby child. Is if you think about it like a child, if you are truly wanting your child to be the best and biggest person that they can be, right? You're not going to let people attack it. You're not going to let people misassign who they are and who they can be, right? If they come up and say, oh, I'm sorry, that's not feasible, you know, they're going to have to sit in the back corner for about 20 minutes. And you're like, no, baby doesn't sit in the corner, right? Like you're going to want to say something and defend it. And we have the right. And this is the other thing. We need to value what we believe in and our desires, and know that we have the right to defend them. We have the right to give them exactly what they need to become the full vision you have for the world. You know, we don't have to skimp on that. And sometimes that looks like showing up a little angry, doing a little protesting, doing a little loudness, right? So,
yes, we don't have to dim our shine to let other people stay comfortable. You know, we don't have to keep making accommodations and withholding. Really, that's what happens when we aren't authentic and forward with our voice and what we feel called to say, and engaging in conversations as opposed to, you know, trying to hit the mute button. We're not making any progress. No one is. And so how do we learn to occupy this space without, you already said it, you know, without being labeled as a bitch and saying, oh, they're not ready for me yet. You know, how do we hold this space and step into this vision and help the world recognize that, yeah, they're ready for it.
So that's what, you know, the art of being a gracious diva is all about. It really is giving you the piecemeal of what it takes. If you put them all in the same pot, it'll be an astounding impact, you know, but we have to develop our edges, right? Some of them we come to naturally, some of them we have to develop a bit, right? And sometimes that's our voice directly. If you have ever felt unseen and unheard, if you feel like, you know, you can show up better for others than you do for yourself and your passion and your vision, then it's most likely that it's time to do some work around your throat chakra. And that's what I do. As the method that I use is so that we can increase that energy flow, connect to how life wants to live through us, you know, how we find our words, how we find our passion in the moment, and also to be able to put it in the framework of all the other things that need to be said and done. So we talked about that a lot. We talked about how connecting into your purpose is a major key to showing up as a gracious diva, because it's going to allow you to continue to live in abundance and growth, right? So that you can keep your heart aligned and in tune with the actions that you're doing and the words that you're saying and the intention at the end of it, right? So that does take some practice, which is essentially why the Get Vocal method exists and why I created the Vocal Creatrix program.
Forgive my typing while you were chatting, but I wanted to get this queued up to share with folks, because that's what I'm really excited about, is that following this introduction, this experience. Oh, let me go back to that banner. Catch up for the rest of today on the summit recordings. They are available inside of Monifa's Facebook group. And then if you feel this spark taking hold, if you recognize that there is no time but now, Monifa's making it so accessible, so easy to step into a group, a community where you can practice being visible and receiving support. We do need to practice receiving support,
Yes.
ladies. And certain particular gentlemen,
yes.
we do, right? We feel like, again, it's something we can't ask for. We get to ask for what we need, and we get to make sure that we are receiving what we need. And this is such a beautiful space, and I'm super excited to be stepping into this journey with you. I can't wait to get started. Kicking off at the end of July. Is that when you dig in?
Well, I decided to give y'all some time to get it together. And also because it's my birthday coming up. So I was like, I'm going to spend some rest period time for my birthday.
Honoring our needs.
And partying a little bit, like having some fun. So yeah, it's one of those. You get to really jump in because you can get ready to jump in. You can dive into some of the stuff in the group. You can start connecting to some of my YouTube content and really start seeing kind of the way I speak, where I'm coming from. Trust me, if you feel like you're the one that would never be considered a leader or a speaker of great impact, then just check me out. Because when I'm in chill mode, I am a wholly different person. I'm a complete introvert. And I like to show up that way to maintain all of me, right? My authenticity. And so that you can see also that it's been a process for me too. So if you, by any stretch of the imagination, think that I speak well, that I'm speaking up for what I do well, that's not something that came easily. It came about because I developed this process.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's really important to recognize too. And actually, just this week in the podcast, I was having a conversation with my guest about honoring the process and showing up where you are and not waiting until you are perfect to start bringing your message out, because it might be too late. It might not still be on point or relevant. When you feel this calling, it's so important to start looking for ways to expressing it, because we only get stronger with practice. We can't just step on stage the very first time under lights and be flawless on delivery. And I think you have something to say about waiting until perfection anyway.
Yes. My hashtag is present over perfect, because it is necessary, right? If we're waiting for perfection, it's too late. First of all, it doesn't exist. So there's that. And then and then also, it's more important that you're present. I always use singers for this. If you go to a concert and your favorite singer's on stage, your favorite moment of that concert is not perfection. It's not a perfect moment. It's a moment where life meets beauty, right? And that's how we love like live concerts and live anything. It's because we know anything can happen, and you get to see people in their authenticity when they're actually meeting that present moment. So again, that's another thing that we practice in the method, is that we get to recognize when we're being present in that moment, and then be able to recall it, or I call it choosing confidence every time you use your voice. So when we understand what it feels like, and we have a conscious experience of that, then we can choose to step into that experience anytime we decide to show up and use our voice. And that's how you can only be confident when you feel confident. And feelings can be, I don't know, ushered in, available,
Cultivated.
cultivated. There we go. Cultivated. And, the breath and voice, I don't know of a better way to do it.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. There's monster trucks at the fair today. Whoa, monster trucks. Because it's real and far from perfect. I'm like, woo, they're coming right for us.
That's entertainment, guys.
That's life in sunny California. I thought I left that back home in Illinois. No, they're bringing it to me. Yes, and breath and connecting to it and all of that. It's so important in all of these steps, all of these pieces of the puzzle. You're so beautiful at illustrating them, at making it feel really tangible and doable, so that it is steps in a process. It isn't, lights are up, it's showtime. Wait a minute, what's my line? You still connected and aligned and authentic in everything you're creating in the world. And just as we were saying, when we don't wait until it's perfect, when it's in the moment and in the now, it's exactly what needs to be shared. And these live experiences, I'm a music lover. There's nothing like being in that space where an artist is writing on the emotion that they're generating in the audience, and that community. Folks, we need community right now. And how do we know what to gather around if everyone is afraid to speak up? So whether you're in your own business, you're working for other people, you just want to, hold your own space on social media because it is getting loud out there. However it feels like, you could use a little support in showing up. Monifa's got some powerful space and practice for that.
And I'll tell y'all a little secret about that one. When you're feeling unseen and unheard, truly double check. Did you show up in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because often in our fear and in our hesitation, we're not showing up in the fullness of ourselves. We're not saying what we believe in and what we stand for. We're not being clear on where our boundaries are and what we are expecting in the response to our energy, right? And so when that happens, people can't hear you, and they don't, and they will bypass you. That's why we lose that ability to create impact, And so it's a major piece right there. Like, the truth of authenticity is that you allow yourself to be your full self when you're showing up, right? And not waiting for somebody to give you permission and that kind of thing, right? And then the right people will show up, because other people are just going to be annoying, which they do. But again, you can hold your space. In other words, you can tell people how to treat you, right? But if if that's a worry for you, just recognize that if you're being silent for the people who don't understand where you're coming from, then the people that do and need your perspective can't hear you either.
So many gems, and this is just off the cuff. I love it. Yeah, when you are holding yourself back, you can't connect with the people who are waiting to know someone else is in their corner, right? And and we do. It's a hard thing to get over. And you referred to boundaries too. That's a big relearning for so many people. And so teaching people how to treat us, learning where our boundaries are in the first place and how to maintain them, teaching other people to honor our boundaries. There's so many places in which, and I've already talked about my roots. I'm a good Midwestern girl. Sometimes it's hard to hold the line in the face of opposition because that's not polite. But you know what? Nobody else has got our back. We have to have our own back and front and sides. And then we can help each other, in community. So it's so important to learn how to own this space and hold that stage.
Yes, and it has unfortunately been bred, taught, programmed out of us this understanding even of what our space contains. It's, that's why it's part of the program, so we can re-anchor into some of our energetic inheritance, because gets milked in the process of becoming good little citizens, right? Boys and girls and all the things, right? And when you think about how we were raised, you just hear the words that came out of my mouth when I channel that. That is so old fashioned. Like, it's so not what's happening right now. And I was taught the same thing. My mom was from Jamaica, my dad was from Guyana. You be seen and not heard is what we were taught when we were children. And that stuck pretty well for me. Being a good girl was stuck very well for me. Not wanting to hurt anybody out of my own ability to feel people's pain as a child. Like, it took me a long time to regain my space because I had let all those ideas shut it down, and I thought I was a quiet person, and I'm not really.
Funny how the teachings can supersede the beings, right? You
Right.
aren't naturally that person, but you're a good student.
Yeah, I'm a good student. I learn well. I'm a fast learner. Yeah, and but I have a lot to say, right? I have a lot to say, and I can speak to a lot of different things because I'm empathic. I kind of pick up on energy patterns from other people, and it brings me into wisdom streams. It's kind of fun. That's why I learned to love the interviews during the last summit, because it was really fun to just tap into new knowledge. So it's one of these things, and knowing that about myself gives me so much more authority and confidence when I'm showing up, right? And how did I figure that out about myself? Through the gene keys, through astrology, through examining, and not just taking it blatantly, but questioning if that energy applies to me, and it's just fun because you keep realizing over and over, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Stars don't lie type of thing. And yeah, if you're worried about the whole Vedic reach Western concept, they both apply in their own ways, and they have both developed over thousands of years, and they do adjust for time. They do adjust for where we are in the timeline and how the energies are working together and against and for each other. So it's not something that stays static. Interpretation changes. That's why we have to stay present. You have to stay present and attuned to what wisdom is trying to come through.
Yes. And if we're working through filters and judging our words, we don't have that space to receive the intuition, those aligned hits that are leading us in the right direction.
Yes. Whenever we get stuck like that and the words get stuck, it's because we're trying to say something the way we think other people need to hear it in order to hear us. You see how backward that is? That's we just went back and forth 4 times. So now we're focused on the external and something that hasn't even happened yet to inform us of what we are presently doing. Right. And so we have to learn, number one, to not to come from what I call center, to come from our own energy stream. And then we can hold our intention in our hearts. So our intention for how that person receives it doesn't come through the words, guys. It's not actually the words, it's through the energy behind the words. If you want to know what creates massive impact, it's what energy comes with you when you show up, and whoever is showing up.
Yeah, like you said earlier. And if folks are jumping in late, it's worth a replay. Speaking from that heart space, speaking from alignment and being authentic. There's so much power in that. And even if people aren't ready to hear what you have to say, when they know you're speaking from your heart, it cultivates patience. It helps them to hear. It helps them be curious and want to know more. So that energy is absolutely everything. And I want to share again too. If you're missing in the comments and it's a little hard to see back in, I know Facebook doesn't want to share, it's on YouTube. Monifa last week shared the Art of Gracious Diva Summit. Those replays are only available through the end of the day. You can get more familiar with Monifa and her brilliant guests, and they explored a lot of this. What is divadom? It's not a bad thing to be a diva and own the stage, claim your space. But I also am beyond excited and hope to see some of y'all join me if you get to know Monifa a little bit better. And kicking off later in the summer, we are going to dig in. We are going to get practice in aligning and coming from that authentic space and showing up with our full voice. The world needs it.
Yes, some practical tools where you can actually find that center for yourself and then use it when you need to use it. And it works for everything, guys, because the correlation for the throat chakra is manifestation, right? So if you have the problem speaking to be heard, right, then it's the same problem for anything that we're trying to create. Okay. I like to explain this one. I like to explain this one through talking about breath and voice, of saying, well, breath is the manifestation of voice, right? Because breath is unseen and unheard, right? It's just the idea or the possibility of something, right? And then when we are processing it through our extremely wise bodies, then around here where the vocal cords are, it becomes something that can be felt, sensed by others, perceived by more than one, right? That's pretty much what manifestation is. It's like whatever can be seen by more than one person. And so it is that process that actually lets us do a deep dive on what comes up for us when we are trying to make something from nothing, right? When we're trying to build a business, when we're trying to create a relationship that hasn't been created yet, right? And when we're trying to create community. So the one thing I did want to say before we move on is that the art of being a gracious diva, those different days, we talk about different diva archetypes. We still have the poll up. So if you wanted to vote in the poll on like what archetype is like the diva that you think of when you're in this space, then vote in the poll, because right now Aretha Franklin's kicking butt, y'all. Like, so if somebody else comes up for you. Right? Like, I mean, how timely. And but like find out, like, and go through the different days, talk about the legacy of community, how divas go about building their vision for community within their audience, their fandom, their people, right? How we going into business legacy, what it takes to be sustainable in a business, and what that looks like in divitude, right? Like, because in divaness, it's based on your energy. And when that energy is aligned, talk about power. This is why people don't really care. At one point or another on that diva stroll, people stop caring what you're selling, right? They stop caring what your service is. They just want the energy, right? So they're like, oh, they have a new idea, I want it. That's why they can do so many different things. But in my opinion, we want to keep that aligned to the service of the energy, so we can even create more impact in that stream. That's our opportunity. When we get aligned to our full stream and allowing that all the way through, we get to everything that comes from us gets to be an example of our legacy.
Yes to all the things. Yes. We need all of this. That I love that analogy, and that just the way that exemplifies it. It shows up in every aspect. It's not only, I don't really have anything to say. If you are a leader, like in your office, if you have a team working for you, how do you create the space? How do you bring your own energy and help to shift the energy when that needs to happen in the space? Divas own their stage, whatever that stage is. And so if you think, I'm not sure how this applies to me, that's why Monifa has graciously graciously left this summit videos available just until the end of today. So inside of her Facebook group, Get Vocal, if you can type really fast, you can grab it off the banner. If you're over on YouTube, you can grab it out of the comments. And I'll loop back and make sure there's clickable links so y'all can pick this up, get inspired today, and then do seriously, deeply think of, consider exploring this program that is so reasonably priced. I was like, get out of my way. I'm first in line. I'm in the front row of class for a little bit longer. It's going to go up to full price. So if you feel intrigued, if you feel called, if you're curious, now is the time. We need sisters and brothers to step up and speak up.
Yes, we need to hear it. We need to hear your authentic voice. But trust me, just the way that it is for you is how we need to hear it. And that's what people need to create the bridge for the gaps that are showing up in our society, for how we know, love can live in our world and how it's actually playing out right now. And just start to really bring people together. I call a lot of people that are called to this work bridges, right? Because it takes our voice to be able to move into the new vision without the chaos, without this pain that's happening, because we're too far away from what's next, right? So that big old gap is causing a lot of pain right now. Right. So we need more of us that are heart-centered, that are purpose-driven, to speak louder, so that, and I say loud, I don't mean by volume, because volume is not power. Okay. So I'm just going to do that qualification. So, but we need our voices to create a bridge that does not need violence. It does not need pain, not to the extent that we're experiencing right now. So
yeah, it does not need
media.
We need it. It does not need to provoke, agitate, or stir fear in order to get the point across, because love is a powerful tool, folks. We don't have to go low. We can go high.
And we're so much bigger than what they want us to see.
Yeah, and thank you for that clarification too. Loud is not simply volume, right? The loud voices that have stolen the mic are not in the majority. They are not, all that we have to look at. And it can be really overwhelming, because sometimes the only things we hear are not what we agree with. But when we each step forward and own our own space, and we can connect in community, it's a lot easier to see that there are so many more people coming from positivity, that are holding hope, that are looking for ways to move forward together instead of tear things apart.
So many more. And when you're speaking your language, those people can find you. So you get friends, you get support, you get community that is also behind you, like this beautiful lady, Susie, who's like all for it because she knows my vision and she believes in it, right? But she wouldn't have known it if I hadn't spoken about it. And so we have to, in order to find our brilliant sisters and friends, right, on this journey, we have to get a little bit more brave. And right now, the only next step is to do something, to build that bravery. Go listen to the videos. If it's within your capacity, sign up for the course, because I promise you will feel different about yourself when you leave.
Beautiful. Thank you, lady. I'm so glad you joined me. Thanks for making a little time today. I am thrilled about what you are putting together, and I'm super excited to see where this season takes us.
Yes, me too. Me too. So glad to be back on Susie Cam.
This thing still works.
And thank you so much for spreading the word too.
It is my pleasure and an honor. I love collaborating with you. Thank you, lady. Thanks, everybody, who hopped in along the way. Let us know if you have any questions at all. Throw those up in the comments, and we'll make sure to circle back and make sure you are heard and taken care of.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everybody. Take good care.
Bye.